Hello YouTube! So on today's video I'm going to be sharing with you all my Game Boy collection. I have a pretty decent Game Boy collection. I have around 30-ish or so games. That's including my Game Boy Color games. I just grouped them together because even though they're different systems, they just more or less play the same things. I really like collecting for the Game Boy. It's really cheap to collect for Game Boy because, like, for instance, most games are only like $2 or $3, and you can get some really good games still for the Game Boy for super cheap. So yeah, so let's just take a look. So first up we have Alleyway. This is a Brick Breaker clone. It's okay. There's some like Nintendo themed puzzles. This was a launch game for the Game Boy. This was one of 5 Game Boy launch games, I believe. Wave Race. Believe it or not, this came out before the N64 game. This predates that. Yeah, it's okay. Power Quest. This is a really interesting, this is a fighting game. It's kind of like Mega Man Battle Network, where you build and customize your robot and everything. It's pretty good. The main issue with it is that it's a fighting game from like the 90s, so the AI kind of cheats. Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. So this is a really interesting game because this uses the rumble pack on the Game Boy and everything. So if you have a battery plugged in, it'll rumble. This is a pretty decent little racing game. Nothing too fantastic, but pretty good. Then we have Pokemon Pinball. A really fun pinball game. Really enjoyable. I really like Pokemon Pinball. And of course it uses the rumble. So, good game. Super Mario Land. So most of my games I do have in these cases right here, and that's because to prevent dirt and everything. I need a couple more, admittedly enough, but whatever, I'll get them down the line. But yeah, so Super Mario Land is a pretty decent little 2D Mario game. Not the best, but pretty good. Oh man, this label. Nemesis. This is a pretty fun little shoot 'em up. Weird to see a shoot 'em up on the Game Boy, but this is a pretty good one. Definitely interesting to look into. We have Donkey Kong Land 2. This is a port? Yeah, kind of a dumbed down port of the first, of Donkey Kong Country 2. I used to play this a lot as a kid, but nowadays I don't really like Donkey Kong Country that much. I do love Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii. Like, that's one of my favorite Wii games, but I don't know, just something about the early ones. Pocket Bomberman. This is my favorite Game Boy game. I played the death out of this game as a kid. Never beat it. And then 2 years ago, I finally buckled down and I beat this game in one day. And it's such a great, fantastic 2D platformer. Really great game. Really highly recommend it. Love that game. It can get pretty hard, too, in some places. Croc. This is a 2D platformer. I own all the Croc games. I really enjoy the Croc series, I guess. But his Game Boy games are pretty unremarkable. I've never played this. This is Monster Rancher Battle something on Game Boy. Never played it. Yeah, I don't. It came in like a lot of a bunch of other Game Boy games, and that's just how it goes sometimes. We have Tetris, the launch game. The like king of launch games, I guess, because this pretty much sold the Game Boy and everything. Great game overall. You know, it's Tetris, it's cool, it's iconic, it's fun. This is a pretty interesting game. This is, if I remember correctly, the Japanese translation is a Yu-Gi-Oh! The Promised Kingdom 4 or something like that. This is the 4th Game Boy Color Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, aka this is the one we got here in North America. My buddy Silver Bullet Bill gave me this a long time ago. He gave me this in the first Kirby's Dream Land. I have the Japanese version of Kirby's Dream Land somewhere, Silver. I just couldn't find it before making this video. But yeah, though, so I've never been able to beat this game or even get very far into it because I don't speak Japanese. But yeah, this is I own the English version of that somewhere. Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. I'm sorry, you guys, my heater's going off. I love this game. This is how I played the original Super Mario Bros. As a kid. Played the death out of this as a kid. Such a great game. Very well, great port, I guess. This is another one from childhood. Blades of Steel. Oh, gosh, I love this game. So much fun. So much fun. Love Blades of Steel. Cool spot. This is a kind of unremarkable 2D platformer. It's okay. Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters, I believe. This is the sequel to the NES Kid Icarus game, so it's the second game in the Kid Icarus series. It's pretty good. A little bit more of like a Metroidvania style game. Pretty good little game, I gotta say. Duke Nukem. If I remember correctly, this is a port of the first Duke Nukem game onto Game Boy. And it's the first Duke Nukem game. There's a reason why nobody talks about it very much. Game & Watch Gallery 1. A small collection of Game & Watch games. It's okay. It's fine. Cool to have. Very cool to have. Kirby's Dream Land. This is a very simple 2D platformer, but I really like this game. I played it a lot. It's just a really easy game. You can blow through it in like 20 minutes. I wonder what the speed run is like of Kirby's Dream Land. Here we go, another copy. Mole Mania. This is a fantastic puzzle game, I suppose. You play as like this mole whose family has gotten like kidnapped or something like that from him. He's the father of the moles, and you have to save your family and everything. But it's a puzzle game. This was made by Shigeru Miyamoto, so you know it's a pretty good game. Dropping games. Super Mario Land 2, fantastic Game Boy game. Fantastic. One of the best, maybe even the best platformer on the system. Fantastic game. Gotta get that one. I love the art of that game too. Like the cover art is just great. Mortal Kombat 2, a surprisingly really solid 2D fighter on the system. There's a couple really good fighting games on the Game Boy. I would say that's one of them. Dragon Warrior 1 and 2. This is the, in my opinion, kind of the best way to play the first Dragon Quest, or Dragon Quest 2 as well, just because it's they strip out all the grinding, they make the gold drops a lot higher and everything, just a lot easier. I would say it's either that or the mobile ports are the best way to experience Dragon Quest 1 and 2. Tetris Plus, this is actually a port of the PS1 game Tetris Plus. Not as good as in my opinion, not as good as the Game Boy, as the original Game Boy Tetris game, but still a fun game. Still Tetris, so. Donkey Kong 92. This is really interesting because the first 4 levels are just the first 4 levels of the original Donkey Kong arcade game. And then it becomes this really neat puzzle platformer. Personally, I could not beat this game at all. This game kicked my butt. I did not know how to figure out all the puzzles, but very fun game nonetheless. This is the only reproduction cart in my collection. I'll pull this out so that way you guys can actually see the cart. This is a small little game called Cave Noir by Konami, and this is a roguelike, and it's really actually a lot of fun. Really remarkable game. There's this great video by Stop Skeletons from Fighting on this game, and I really enjoy this game. I've never beaten it though because it gets pretty hard at the end of the game. Hamtaro, Ham Hams Unite. So every once in a while you guys will see like weird licensed games in my collection, but the reason why is because sometimes you just gotta take the chances on some licensed games, and sometimes you get some really good games that people just shrug off because they don't expect anything. This is actually one of those games. This is a very fun little point and click style game. Very fun game. I would recommend it, especially if you like Hamtaro, which there's kind of a weird cult following for. Croc 2. This is nothing like the first Croc game on Game Boy. This is actually a top-down, like an isometric platformer, kind of like The Legend of Zelda in some weird ways. It's a pretty decent little game, I gotta say. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. This is, again, another one of those licensed games that I think would surprise people. This is a turn-based JRPG with Harry Potter as the dressing and everything. Really fun little game. My only complaint with it is that the battles are pretty slow. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX. I've never beaten this game. I've gotten into like the 5th dungeon and I've never beaten it. And the reason why is because this is like a lot of 2D Zelda games where it just doesn't give you a hint. Like, it doesn't tell you where to go or anything like that. It gives you no hints. You're just kind of dropped into the world and you have to figure everything out. But despite that, though, pretty good game in my opinion. Not pretty good, really good game. I misspoke, forgive me. Motocross Maniacs. This is really, in my opinion, what like the Game Boy is best at right here. Is these little pick up and play for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and you put it down, then you come back to it, and the cycle just keeps on going. And this is one of those games. This is pretty much the Game Boy's equivalent of Excite Bike or Trials Fusion, whatever you want to call that game. It's pretty much the Game Boy's equivalent of that. And if you like those games, you'll like this game. A lot of fun stuff right here. Quarth. This is a puzzle game. It's okay. Not my kind of puzzle game, but okay. And the last game we have Mario Tennis. I love Mario Tennis. This is a fantastic game. This is a tennis game with RPG elements, which works way better than I think it has any right to work. And yeah, it's just a really fun, great game. Alright, so that's my Game Boy collection, you guys. Not one of my bigger collections, but it's getting there. I like collecting for the Game Boy. But yeah, though, so if you like this video, like it down below, comment, subscribe. Have a wonderful day, YouTube, and peace.